I have made over $1 billion
Yes.
by literally doing the things that lazy people are unwilling to do. 7 business failures in my career.
Okay.
5 of them, I couldn't even get to that first level, but I got out of all of them within 6 to 7 months. Skill level wise, who was your favorite player that you ever coached?
All right, welcome back to the Level 10 Studios here at the Greatness Factory. I'm Coach Micheal Burt, another edition of America's Coach. We believe everybody needs a great coach in life. We believe those that have a coach earn 3 and 4 times, if not more, money than those that don't have a coach. We believe training is not something you did, it's something you do. And every week I get to interview some of the really most intelligent people in the world. And Bill Faeth, I'd put you in that category, man.
Thank you very much.
Witty, smart, and good looks, man. That's where I'd put you.
Well, you know what? I don't know about the good looks, but you know why I fall into that category?
Yep.
Because I've had a coach since I've been about 7 years old.
Yes.
Every one of my 37 business ventures
Yes.
and through my professional athletic career.
Yes. Well, you are truly a person of interest. You're a very interesting person. You're involved in a lot of things, and we want to kind of dig into that today, right? Like how do you see you? Like I see you as a mover and shaker, guy who figures it out, a true entrepreneur, a person that takes a lower level resource to a higher level of productivity. But you got a great marketing mind, right? That's one of your skill sets you learned along the way.
That's in my genius.
You've got involved in all kinds of businesses, and you've had to learn a lot from those businesses. So let's start off today by just asking this question: how do you see you? Like, where do you see your specialty as?
You know, I think my specialty, we were just talking about this before we started recording, is being able to, as my COO says, he's been with me for 7 years, is you can see through the trees. I don't let the forest cloud my vision.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is you and I kind of started on the path we're in today together. And I was just telling your partner about when you and I spoke in Murfreesboro about 12 years ago, and you had 2 people in the crowd, and one of them was your wife, and I went on behind you, and I only had one person to speak to after you left. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You had just written, was it Zebras and Gazelles, I think?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is a trait that probably I know you have and I have it as well, is to not let something like that, which is kind of embarrassing today, but now you've spoken in front of 9,000 people on the 10X stage. I have my own conference with 5,000 people that you're going to speak at this year. I think one of the things also, I'm a former professional athlete and a college golf coach, and you were the winningest girls high school basketball coach of all time, correct? Are you still that? You still
I mean, at that school, for sure, at that school,
So one of the things that I see is when we fail, no matter how small or how large, is how quick. I think the elite athletes and business owners and entrepreneurs are able to put that behind them quickly.
Yes.
And sure, I've done 37 startups, over $1 billion in sales, and all those stuff that people latch onto. But what I think has been my biggest success is that I've failed in 7 times in business since I've been 21 years old. To put that behind me, learn from it, like Dean Graziosi calls any mistake success tax, right? And then to move on quickly and penetrate. And I grew up as a basketball player. My grandfather was a basketball coach, South Dakota State University, all that type of stuff. And you said one of the keys for you as a coach was to get to the midpoint line, get to half court in 2.3 seconds.
2.3 seconds.
And I remember growing up, there was the guys that were the best that I grew up with in sports were the ones that knew how to penetrate.
Right.
You know, I was the guy that stood out behind the 3-point line as the only guy that was 6'6" that could never dunk. But I'm the one that's popping, 3-pointers at 41%.
Wow.
It was easy to cover me, right? You just put your guy, he could be fast or just, you didn't have to be my height, but I have to bring the ball down at some point, right? And then swat it away before I could get up. Or he's in my face, it makes it hard for me.
Right.
So I was an easy cover. In basketball versus the guy that can penetrate, that's aggressive, that has that mindset. I didn't have those skills. And I always remembered that when I got into business, as I got later into life, is I wanted to be the penetrator. And I've kind of carried that with me. But when you penetrate, you make mistakes. Right. So I think it's that skill of how fast we can put that out of our mind. There's a sports psychologist named Dr. Bob Rotella that was in golf when I grew up. And there's this mental component that I still think about, the visualization. He said, you remember the cartoons, the Roadrunner, and you'd see Beep Beep or Wile E. Coyote, the anvils coming down on his head, and you'd see that cloud out there. So he said, I want you to take the bad pre-shot routine or the mistake that you made, put it into that cloud, and visually I want you to take your hand and crumple it up and then throw it into the trash can. That was the visualization. And so for me, that was the anecdote that I learned from one of the best sports psychologists in the early 90s, to be able to get rid of that mistake, no matter how heart-wrenching it was, if I lost a tournament by making a bad swing, or if I made a bad business investment, and then be able to move on quickly.
Well, you said something that I really like, because we were talking before the show that, excuse me, that people say defense wins championships. I hear people say that all the time. And I'm like, what game are you watching? Because, yes, you do have to stop the opponent from scoring, but at the end of the game, who scores the most points is who wins.
Tom Brady wasn't a linebacker, was he?
That's what I'm saying. So I'm sitting there thinking, when I got into the business world, I'm like, we're going to play offense, right? What does offense mean, right? We're going to attack, man. And like you said, in sports, it's attack the basket as hard as you can. And somebody's got to stop you. Now, when they do stop you, you may kick it out for a three or whatever the case may be, but we're going to play offense, right? And I got into coaching business people at 31 years old, and everybody played defense. Right. It's like they didn't have a customer acquisition strategy. They didn't have a plan to go out and follow up on the leads that they were generating. They didn't have a way to generate leads. So I was puzzled by how everybody played defense. And it's like, I just think objects at rest stay at rest unless acted on by an outside force.
Absolutely.
That's Newton's law. So what business are you in today? Because you've owned various businesses. When I met you, it was a limo business, right? It was a limo coaching business?
Yeah, so I built the fastest growing limousine and motor coach company in the history of the industry here in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I'd exited, started a marketing agency. Was the first partner with HubSpot back in the day.
Wow.
I mean, I was customer 33 at HubSpot with that limo company. And then I exited that and started the coaching business. So I've done the coaching iteration 3 times in 3 different verticals. If I can go in and build a successful business, because I'm just like you, I'm offensive, and I want to penetrate quickly. And almost every business that I've been successful in has been quick. A lot of people sit around, you know this from coaching them. Yeah, well, Coach, I'm waiting for year 2 because we're just getting our shit together in year number 1. Well, while they're getting their shit together, you and I have ran past them and double or tripled our business because we're implementing the lead generation, we're implementing customer retention, we're leveraging relationships, and we're trying to grow by penetration, by getting to that half court line in 2.3 seconds versus you see the guy or gal that's dribbling the ball and they take 8.5 seconds. And once in a while, they get called for a penalty for taking 11 seconds, right? And I think the majority of the people fall into that 8.5 to 11 second range. For some reason, you and I fall into that 2.5 second range. And we are the ones that are able to pass the people that are. One of my sales training coaches back in the day, you probably know him, he's local, John Boyens, who used to be,
I do.
He owns the Boyens Group, and he has a term called getting ready to get ready. And you and I see this all the time. And it's hard for us to break that mindset of getting ready to get ready. Those people that need to have everything mapped out and ready to go. I had a lady on a call with me last week, and I said, you know what? Just go get your first fucking client. That's it. Well, what about the invoicing? And I said, when you get it, you call me and let me know, and I can fix all of that stuff and get it, all your ducks in a row in about 30 minutes. That is not the deal. You're focused on the wrong part. Just go acquire a customer. And it's like one thing that you said to a mutual friend of ours after, remember when we had that meeting at Del Frisco's and you were in your Sprinter with your 2 other guys? Bill should be teaching funnels and customer acquisition. He should not be, teaching limo people and all that stuff. And you were 100% correct. And that speed is critical.
Well, man, that's why you and I have so much in common and alike. Just a lot of people live in a thinking and stalling phase. They think between A and B. They see a picture of something, but they just live in thinking and stalling versus action and commitment. And to me, this is hard for the analytical mind, right? It's like, how do you experience a quantum leap? It's hard for the analytic because they just think it to death and they worry about it and they just get into action. So when you're looking at a business today, Let's put a hat on and pretend you were an investor in businesses today. Because I love how your mind thinks about a business. You've had various businesses. You've seen the pros and cons. We talked about the golf business that you owned and the good of it and the bad of it. What are you looking for when you say, now, this is a good business I would invest in? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the opportunity. So the first thing I do is I look at the very top of the food chain, the top of the org chart, right? And I already know, without even asking you or knowing all the particulars about how you run your empire, that you probably spend at least 75 to 80% of your time on revenue generating activities.
That's right.
And so what I look for, if I'm going to acquire a business, if I'm going to help coach somebody into a better position, if I'm looking to make an investment, I'm looking for the CEO, that person at the top that is spending like 50% or less of their time on revenue generating activities. They're into ops, they're managing their own books, they're doing whatever. They are not focusing on revenue generating activities. For every successful entrepreneur that I have ever spoken to, they are spending the majority of their time on either revenue generating activities, and I do factor in revenue generating activities as also client retention.
Okay.
And I almost think that client retention is more important once you've hit a certain point in revenue on the retention. A lot of CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners don't understand their churn rate. And,
that's right.
And it doesn't matter if it's a coffee shop, on the local corner. It doesn't matter if you're doing coaching like what we do.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's real estate investing. It's way cheaper for me to bring, if you stay at one of my Airbnbs, my short-term rentals, it's free actually for me to bring you back through text messaging, email marketing, video, shoot a quick video. Hey, Mike, thanks for staying with me, at the beach or in Montana or whatever. It costs me nothing. It's not the old adage of 6 or 7 times less expensive. It's like 25 times less expensive than my COCA, my cost of customer acquisition, on the other end. So I'm looking for the leader of the company that is not focused on revenue generation and client retention.
Wow. So it's interesting because you're right. A lot of revenue people don't understand. Even when Warlow wrote The Automatic Customer, because I've been running coaching businesses now for almost 20 years, right? Subscription models. I know that there is a vicious cycle of human nature.
100%.
And that vicious cycle of human nature is to start with good intention. I call it the prey drive is activated. There's a flash of inspiration. But I also know at months 4 to 6 or somewhere around there, right, they fall off the wagon. I owned a gym for a period of time. It was one of the worst investments I ever had. I was trying to I got equity in that gym, and all I got from it was a $15,000 sweatshirt. I tell people this sweatshirt cost me $15,000. But I learned a valuable lesson about human nature. We start with good intention. We fail to follow through. We experience guilt.
Yep.
Okay. What I love about what you're saying is you understand the customer acquisition part, right? From the marketing to the funnels, and I'd be curious to know where that came from. But you also understand that
100% from HubSpot, just to answer that question for you.
You also understand the retention piece and how important the engagement is after the sale, right?
I believe that the engagement starts at the very first meeting. It doesn't start after the sale.
Good,
It doesn't even start at step 4 in a 6-step sales process.
That's good.
It starts from number 1. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I've got 33,000 people in my community, and the one thing I can't get them to do is, I don't have my phone with me, but is to pull their phone out of their pocket every time somebody books a reservation with them and say, hey, Mike, this is Bill. Thank you so much for booking Elk Lodge and Banner Elk. My wife and I are so excited to host you and your family. If you need anything, we're here for you. And then text you that 15-second video. It's what I call the welcome video.
Yes.
Because I'm doing multiple things by doing that. Number 1, you have Prey Drive, I have the 2 extra steps.
Yes.
That is my entire life, my entire platform is I have made over $1 billion by literally doing the things that lazy people are unwilling to do. So the average person's not going to pull out their phone and send you a video when you book an Airbnb.
Right.
I do that with every single customer. Chris and I have been at dinner in Montana, and I get the message, and I pull out the phone sitting at the dinner table, 15 seconds, and send it. That's an inconvenience to the people sitting at the table. My family gets it because they're trained to understand this is how we pay for your shoes, right?
Yes.
So doing what I call the 2 extra steps. I'm actually just got a book deal about 2 extra steps. This has been the platform for me for my entire life, whether it's as a golfer, as a student, as an entrepreneur. So I believe it starts at the very first contact. I think most people wait to get into retention afterwards. But what happens is I build deeper relationships faster. And when I can build deeper relationships faster early in the sales cycle, I can close faster, I can close more clients, and then I also do what's super important because we all mess up. I earn the right to fail.
Wow. Talk about that.
I mean, if I can build a relationship with you early on in the sales cycle or in the relationship as a client, and you walk into my coffee shop and you get a bad cup of coffee, or you walk into my short-term rental and somebody left their tidy whities on the back of the door in the master bathroom and my cleaners missed it, then you're going to give me an opportunity to correct that situation. If we have zero relationship, I'm probably not going to get that opportunity. I just ate dinner last night with my family at a new restaurant that's one of the hot restaurants here in Nashville. Have no relationship with anybody there. Appetizers were exceptional, off the charts, got a bottle of wine. It was great. All 4 of our meals were below average. And I'm not a complainer. And so the server comes up and says, was everything okay with your meals? I said, no, not really. It was okay. Actually, let me take a step back. I said, they were all fine. My wife said they're fine because she knew that I might say something. And then I said, can you bring our check? I just hand her my credit card. Do you need to see the bill? Nope, I don't. Let me pay. And then once I paid, I said, can you send the manager over, please? And manager's all, did you have problems with your meal? I said, I've already paid. I don't want any type of credit, no free comps, but let me tell you about the experienced business owner to manager. And I explained it to him. I got a message via Open Table when I got back to my house. I live about 30 minutes from where we ate, and he had comped all of our meals. Paid for the wine. I paid for the wine, paid for the appetizers that were great, but all 4 of those meals, like $200, he had comped it. That's how you build relationship. I left a voicemail at the restaurant thanking him this morning and said, thank you very much. Actually, I'm going to try to go back in tonight. I haven't checked my phone, but hopefully he's given us a reservation. I will go back in and patronize it again tonight, give it another try because of what he did. If he doesn't do that, then I probably never go back to that restaurant.
Well, you got me thinking about a restaurant that we ate at in Florida this week because we were down at our house in Watercolor, and my buddy was saying, you got to go to this restaurant called Cigars. It's over in Destin, Sandestin. And the experience was amazing, right? Put us in a private room. They anything you asked, their answer was, we'll figure it out. Like my buddy wanted some, like Oreo something. They're like, we'll figure it out. It's not on the menu. We don't have it here, but we'll have the chef make it for you. And it was like, so finally we just kind of at the end of the night brought the group out and said, man, what's the deal here? And it's just well-trained people and a deep belief in this experience, right? And the food was great. I thought the food was great. So when you think about this concept, is the 2 extra steps a system that starts from, do you get into the marketing, or is it just, do you go from marketing to customer acquisition?
It's everything.
Okay, so it's your whole system. 2
extra steps. It's not even really a system. It's just a mindset, and then it's a series of anecdotes and things that I can share with people that I've done and taught people to do and that I've learned and seen other people do that the average person will not do. So if me and you are competing for the same customer, which we're not, and we're both coaches, I am going to learn everything that you do. I'll probably subscribe to your programs. I'll get into the Monster program. I'll get into I'll learn whatever I need to learn to see where you are not willing to go as far that I'm willing to go. Right. And that's it. It's a mindset. It is that simple. But most people, like what you said earlier, they might do it once or twice, but then they stop. So then it's the discipline and the commitment behind it, right? And I think there's a level of action that I take that a lot of people, when you have an issue with a customer, a client, let's just give them a 10% discount. The manager, Paul, last night literally comped me like $200 worth of food that I didn't even say was horrible. I said the appetizers were exceptional. It was underwhelming for the food. And I said, I'm not complaining. I would want to know as the owner, I think I appreciate that. So he took care of me. Most restaurants would probably just say, okay, let's give you a free dessert, do nothing, or give me a 10 or a 20% discount. So I had a client when I was in the limo space. Her name was Andrea Swift, the mother of Taylor Swift. Taylor was the client, And Scott Borchetta, who we all know here in Nashville, Big Machine, he founded her. Scott was flying into Chicago, or ORD privately, to see her play at the United Center.
Okay.
I had my affiliate, Windy City Limousine, at ORD, ready to pick him up on the tarmac. He got diverted on the descent, like 10 minutes, over to Midway. That's on the other side of town. I have no chance at a 6 o'clock pickup with rush hour to be able to get a car from any, and I've got like 9 affiliate companies in Chicago.
Yeah.
I called 7 of them. Anybody that can get there, I've got a $250 bonus for the chauffeur.
Okay.
Couldn't do it. He ended up taking a taxi to one of the Sofitel hotels or wherever it was.
Okay.
And then he was pissed. I mean, he was over here on Music Row at that time. I'm getting it from his assistant, and I have a partner in that business at that time, and I'm calling him, and I said, hey, here's what I've got. Here's what happened. It was completely out of our control. Here's what I need to do. But I need your approval, because I'd sold my company to him. I was not the majority partner.
Okay.
I said, he drinks Vuku Clo. I need 2 bottles. Him and his wife are together. I want to have, $300-400 worth of food, apps, everything. I said, but anybody can do that. And my partner owned his own private jet. He had a Hawker. I said, I want to pay for his fuel from Nashville to there, about $12,000 worth of fuel.
Yeah.
He said no.
Wow. Okay.
I went ahead and did it anyways.
Okay.
Because I knew if I didn't do something extreme like that, we were going to lose the client. We were going to lose Taylor. Rascal Flatts was with him at that time.
Yeah.
A couple of other younger artists that we were doing. And it was worth, $600,000-700,000 a year to us.
Right.
I remember walking into the office that next day, and I'm not going to say this gentleman's name,
Sure.
but he just lit into me.
Yeah.
I'm not reimbursing you, because I had to put it on my own credit card at that point. You should have never done that. I told you no. I said, I did the exact right thing.
Yep.
I showed him a text message from Scott Borchetta that he sent to me at like 1:18 in the morning, thanking me for him and his wife. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate you taking care of us. You will have our business for eternity.
Yep.
Something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
This was like 10 years ago.
Yep.
And we kept Taylor, and we kept Rascal Flatts, and we kept the other artists, and he never reimbursed me. It was like $11,000 in jet fuel.
Yep.
That's the 2 extra steps. If
Yeah.
I didn't do that, and
Yeah.
I just spent the $300, $400, $500 for the hotel stuff,
Right.
there's no chance. He would have went back to Music Express, which was our competitor out of LA. There's
Yeah.
no question.
Well, I think this is a great lesson for people out there, because as you're talking, I'm thinking of people that I talked to today. One was in London this morning, is interested in my coaching. That as soon as I got off the phone, what I should have done was video them. And I do a lot of that video, but not everybody does it in my company.
Right.
Video, hey, this is Coach Burt, right? Even when people buy my books for $10, I'll go in there and call those people, and I'll ask them, is anybody, they don't believe it's me, number one. They think,
Right.
they think it's AI. One guy argued with me for 30 minutes.
Right.
He says, this is not Coach Burt. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's me. I'll FaceTime you.
Right.
This is me. And he's like, no, there's no way. But it's just one of those things that I thought, well, if a person buys my book for $10 online or whatever, they're still showing interest.
100%.
They're interested in getting better.
They're an SQL at that point.
That's right. So,
Sales qualified lead. For
sales
everybody out
qualified
there.
lead. How many authors pick up the phone and call and thank people for buying their books if they have that data? None. 0, right? So I go, I'm going to do this. So I'll send them a video message. I'll call them. If they don't, I'll send them a video message. Hey, this is Coach Burt. Man, thanks for buying my book. Let's talk about what you're trying to do. Maybe
How many
we can
times
help
do you get an Instagram message and then send like your cell phone number and a DM? Hey, call me. I'll help you.
That's right.
Right now. And then, oh my God, you're a celebrity. You're not
They
supposed
don't.
to.
Yeah.
I do that same stuff.
Yeah.
But those are the things that the other coaches
Right.
won't do.
That's right. Well, I love this because there's immediate actions that people can take. There's people that I've even thought up while you're talking that we could do a much better job of. Because I could see you doing that 2 extra steps. I know you're in a certain industry coaching a certain group of people. We're going to get to that in a second. But that one thing, I could see companies all over the world wanting you to teach them just that.
That's why I just
simple thing.
signed my first book deal.
Yeah.
And that's what that book's going to be about. I've actually launched a show called BF Bootstrapped with Bill Faeth.
Yes.
And it's all about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all about general business. It's not just real estate.
Right.
Because of that, because people need that so much. It's like you unlocking their prey drive. Right.
Let's talk about the limousine business for a second. Was that a good business or a bad business?
Worst business I've ever been in.
As bad as me owning the gym?
No, I mean, I made money and I exited, but let me rephrase.
Okay.
It was the hardest business I've ever been in.
Yeah.
The margins are extremely low, extremely high risk.
Okay.
I mean, we're carrying human beings around,
Right.
and motor coaches with 56 of them, or you in the back of an SUV,
Right.
celebrities,
Yeah.
Bill Gates, all these, high-profile people. But the margins are slim. It's very labor-intensive.
Right.
Insurance is ridiculous. Having to buy vehicles every 2 years that are depreciating assets.
Right.
It was a horrible business to be in. And I own
Yeah.
6 restaurants, a quarter of a century ago.
Okay.
Everybody says that's the worst business to be in.
Right.
I made more money in 18 months being in the restaurant business than I did 4.5 years in the limousine business.
Wow.
It's just a tough business to be in.
Yeah.
It's really a lifestyle asset, even for the $100 million companies that are out there. I built a $10 million company in 4 years.
Yep.
But I got in for the wrong reason. I had an entrepreneurial seizure.
Yes.
If you've heard that term
yeah.
before from the E-Myth.
Gerber.
Yep, 100%. And so I was in the best business I've ever been in, which was
Okay.
my glow-in-the-dark miniature golf course business, my
Yep.
Glow Golf. And I was flying up to Detroit, Michigan to go to a mall in just north of Detroit. And my car service, I live in Brentwood, just south of town, was late to pick me up, and I missed my flight.
Okay.
And I was going to a zoning meeting to have the zoning changed in the shopping mall for a 12,000 square foot space. And it cost me 30 days. I had to wait for the next meeting. I was pissed.
Wow.
So I flew back. I knew nothing about the ground transportation space or anything.
Right.
I called a good friend of mine, Neil Orn, who's the ABC morning news
Okay.
anchor
Yep.
here. And I said, hey, man, I'm starting to, this is on a Friday before Memorial Day.
Yep.
I said, we're starting a limousine company. He's like, what do you mean we? And we played golf together. And I'm like, well, you know about cars and stuff like that. I don't know anything about cars, but I know how to build businesses and do
Yep.
marketing and sales and all that type of stuff. So I need you to help me with the car part.
Right.
And I said, by the way, when you get off tonight at 6 o'clock, we're driving to Dallas because I found a car and we got to drive it back. It's like $30,000 for a limo. And we were in the limo business.
Okay.
I bought a limo and it was parked in my driveway. And about 2 weeks later, Signature Transportation they're the biggest limousine
Yep.
company now since I'm out of the industry in Nashville. I walked over there and bought 2 vehicles from Mike Dozier, the owner. I said, I'm going to put you out of fucking business.
Wow.
And I got pretty close going into COVID, and thank God I didn't because I had sold, and he became a good friend and a client, and I helped him rebuild his business. And now they're the biggest and the best business in Nashville. So it was an entrepreneurial seizure, as Mike Gerber calls it. And it was the only, out of the 37 startups I've done, the only one that I got into that I really wish I wouldn't have gotten into.
Right.
In one respect, but I still coach in that business too.
Okay.
Gosh, 11 years later.
Okay.
For all the I still have an MRR, coaching program. 1 call a week is all it is, and still have about
to limousine owners.
Limousine owners, that's it, and still have about 170 or 80 members that are in that program.
Wow.
Because I've created the demand based on the knowledge that's delivered to them.
Hey, it's Coach Micheal Burt, and I like to say nothing happens until your prey drive is activated. That prey drive is your instinctual ability to see something with the eyes or in the mind and have the persistence and the intensity to pursue it. The first step to securing your seat at a bigger table is activating you. That's exactly what the Prey Drive Planner helps you do. This is the same tool I use every week to plan my biggest goals, break them down into daily actions, and hold myself accountable. The planner even includes my morning routine as a reference, so you can follow the same steps I do to crush it every day. If you're ready to activate your Prey Drive, download the Prey Drive Planner for free at planner.coachburt.com. Again, that's planner.coachburt.com. Now, let's get into this episode. I look at some businesses that feed something, right? They become excellent feeder systems. Like now I'm in the raising capital business. Because for years I would write my goals up and I kept going, what's the big table for me? What's the big table for me? And then I got into building this place and it became a deal factory and people coming in and I was seeing people raise capital and I go, I could do that.
Did you think this was going to be a deal factory when you said it was going to be part of your coaching business,
It was just I love real estate and I really enjoyed coaching. And I had kind of this idea of a curated space that was super cool, right? And I kept playing around with the Greatness Factory, a place where we could manufacture greatness, and really built on my high school coaching days because that's what I told the parents when they dropped their kids off, is that thank you for bringing your kids to the Greatness Factory. We're going to
awesome.
manufacture their greatness. And I go, we should do it for adults, man. But I never thought this is going to be a deal factory.
Right.
This is going to be where top entrepreneurs come and private equity firms and real estate plays and strategic partnerships. I really just thought it would be a great place to work and coach, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I also started to see that a lot of the people I was coaching had a desire to exit. And I go, what do I do with these people? Right? Because I'm sending them somewhere else.
Right.
And then I started going, well, what about, I had raised capital for a couple different people, and I started going, why couldn't I just raise capital? Why couldn't we start our own fund, right? Which is why we started our private equity firm, which is really an opportunity fund. Then we got a data center fund that's buying racks of data, excuse me, that, that's really ridiculous. And so it's like, what's the big table? So some businesses become feeder systems to other businesses.
100%.
And I'm sure you running the limousine business, you were able to, you're around top-notch people, right? Big-time players, Bashetta, all those people, and you're observing and you're watching. And then you go, okay, this was a good business, but I'm going to get out of this business. What came next?
Well, when I exited the limousine business, I started a marketing agency.
Okay.
HubSpot, helped them build the HubSpot agency program.
Okay.
And what I learned in that agency, I built an $11 million agency in about 2.5 to 3 years.
Okay.
Mostly limousine clients, and then I got like my first ambulance chaser in Texas, who was the biggest one down there, and so I got into the attorney side. But what happened was nobody knew how to run that model. They still don't, and agencies suck, in my opinion.
Yes.
They don't deliver the results that they always promise, and it's always that way. Every agency.
So true. So true.
And so I created this pod system, that, for every like 3 or 4 clients, you needed to have these 3 people in the mix, in this pod, working cohesively, and then you could have these ancillary people outside of it. And that's kind of what the whole HubSpot ecosystem was built off of. But what I learned, and actually Chris, my COO that you've met, was really the instigator for me to exit out of that. Instead of being one-on-one with one pod, 1 or 2 or 3 clients and kind of giving one-on-one service, to migrate into the coaching business. And our first iteration was in the limousine space was to, hey, we're going to do the marketing, do done-for-you marketing. Right, and then they couldn't figure it out, even though we had 90% of everything done, and they could swipe file copy, funnels, email copy, social media posts, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
We need you to do this, and I'm like, I'm not getting back into the agency side. And then that second iteration was the coaching side of it.
Okay.
And then since then, I've done the real estate stuff I do today, build short-term rental wealth. I did Limo University, which I still do, and I was in the HVAC business after buying an HVAC company and scaling that as well.
Okay.
So I think that the one thing that I see, it kind of goes back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's speed. It's getting to that half court line.
Right.
Every single business that I was unsuccessful with, I could not get to that first level fast enough.
Yep.
And most of that time, so I had 2 businesses really fail after I got to the first level.
Okay.
7 business failures in my career.
Okay.
5 of them, I couldn't even get to that first level. But I got out of all of them within 6 to 7 months.
Okay.
I didn't hang on too long like most people do. If I identify that I'm not on that run rate, on that path, then I'm going to exit quickly, and I'm going to cut my losses, and I'm going to move into something else.
Okay.
And that's kind of what happened. I probably held on a little bit too long in the inbound marketing agents, the agency side. I was still making money, but the margins were small. It was like 9 to 10%.
Okay.
When I migrated into the coaching space, then the margins exponentially grow.
So you consider the coaching business, good business, bad business? Let me tell you why I said this.
I think it's a tremendous business if you do it the way that you do it and I do it.
Because I remember being in Miami once, and I was down at Grant Cardone's office. And I was so excited that I had grown the Monster Producer. That's back in the days when you were there, to 700 members. In those days, it was all in person.
Yep.
Right? Everybody came every month in person. Mm-hmm. And I was down there telling Cardone, it's like, man, I'm excited. I got this 700 people. And he looked at me and said, real kind of hardcore. And he said, he's like, no, what you got is a very expensive adult babysitting service.
Right.
And I remember going to my hotel that night. And Bill, it bothered me. I'm like, what have I been doing? I've been coaching people my whole life, right? And I started to ask, is this a good business or a bad business? That's all I've ever done is coach people, by the way, right? I mean, since I was a kid. And I do love the coaching, right? But the structure of the coaching business,
that's the deal.
Is the deal. So talk a little bit about that, because you've done a much better job than me on the recurring revenue, building out a bigger community of people, niching down better than I have, right? I've kind of went broad.
Broad's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, and so it's entrepreneurs and leaders and businesses and all different types of business. I mean, I may coach 7 different businesses in a day, right? Where you've kind of gone deep in one area that I really think. So talk about how you've made a coaching business a good business.
So even within that area of like just short-term rentals, so I'm not in creative financing like Pace Morby. I leave that to my friend Pace.
Yep.
I am not in long-term rents. I'm not in mid-term rents, any of that type of stuff. So, and I've niched down inside the niche, right? And I think that's super important because if I don't do that, and like anybody can go like look at me on Bill Faeth 73, Faeth on Instagram. I've only got 11,900 followers on Instagram. I've got 55,000 on TikTok. That's my biggest platform by far. My Facebook group, 33,000 people. Not even on Twitter anymore. I have like 8,000 people, or X or whatever that's called. It's not about the size of the platform. It's about how much you give of your, and I believe how much we give of ourselves to the platform. Whether you have 10 girls on your basketball team, or you've got hundreds of thousands of people in what at Lightspeed or whatever community, if you give to them, I believe, and you can change their life in some way, they will buy from you out of reciprocity. So I have never even ran an ad for my coaching business until October of this year.
Wow.
And have built a pretty good sized coaching business by being authentic. By being available. Going back to what we talked about previously, I am notorious for giving my cell phone number out on Instagram. DMs, I'll help people. I'll help them first. And, well, what are you going to sell me? I'm not going to sell you anything. If I impact change for you for the better, then you will come back, and I'll tell them, you'll come back and buy from me out of reciprocity. I don't have to sell to you. And I believe that authenticity, and I believe being available, and I believe having a true, keen desire in your heart to help people is what separates the great coaches from the good coaches. And then the average coaches are the ones that want to automate everything and not participate in the business. And I'm not going to say that they're the snake oil people. They're the ones that get branded as it because they sell it to you on Instagram or whatever platform, and then they're never available after they've bought from you.
They really don't want to coach people.
100%. They just want to make money. They see it as the easy money.
So what's your stance on pitching and inviting? Because I know, you mentioned when I spoke at 10X, I didn't even know how to make an offer, number one, okay?
Could you imagine if you had got to go back and do it now?
Exactly. With the coaching I've had now, pre-framing, embedding, or the psychology of buying. You see where I'm going? And I only learned that, by the way, Bill, during COVID, when I did about $3 million in virtual events. Okay. And that's when I started getting coaching on how to make an offer, how to invite, Because I remember I spoke at 10X. At the very end, in like the last minute, I said, hey, if you'd like for me to be your coach. It was pitiful.
Could you imagine if you had studied Russell Brunson's perfect webinar before that?
Exactly. And so, I think we did $250,000 or something like that within the week. And I thought, this is crazy, man. I didn't even know what I was doing. But since then, I bet we've done $2 million from me speaking on that stage, of leaders hiring me, of companies and multi-level marketing companies. And so this kind of started back in those days. This was 2018, and it was a big deal. You speak and you pitch, right? And Cardone was like, hey, I'm going to bring 10,000 people. You bring you and make an offer, and we'll split the spoils. Where do you think that's gotten today? Do you think people are pitch fatigued? Do you think, like when you do your event, because you got a big event, 5,000 people.
Like my event is a no pitch zone.
Okay, so tell me what your philosophy is, because I speak.
Reciprocity. If I do a good enough job on stage, they will come to my booth, and they will want to talk more about what the opportunities are to be able to work for me.
And do you, during your presentation, because I'm doing Cabo next week with 2,000 people. I'm doing your event that's going to have, 5,000 people. I'm doing a $1 Million Roundtable, which is 7,500 of the top financial advisors in Miami. So do you embed it into your presentation? Do you talk about it, or do you just coach? And then you say, hey, if you want to do something with me, like walk us through what you do to get people to take an action. I mean, I know the reciprocity, but do you give them some guidance on where to go? Do you say, come see me at the booth? Tell me about your process.
I will agitate their problem.
Okay.
In any scenario.
Okay.
Strictly Russell Brunson.
Okay.
I think it was the year after you spoke. He did the $4 million in 2 hours or whatever. Strictly agitate the problem. Solve the problem. So I have Ryan Dice. I mean, learned a lot from Ryan over the last decade.
Interesting.
He has the before and after. If you've ever seen this graphic, it's a sad face with red, it's a green face with green, and there's a line. And then you draw hash marks in between the two, happy face and sad face. And literally on the top are the problems. So if I can identify 5 problems and provide 5 solutions down below, and you can only identify 3 problems and 3 solutions, I'm going to win almost every single time. So I use that as my framework anytime I'm going to do a presentation. So I'm doing the 2 extra steps, doing a lot of research to who I'm going to go and I'm going to speak to, whether it's 10 people inside of your room a couple of months ago or 5,000 people. And then at the very end, it's really simple. Hey, you know what? If you found any value in this, I'm going to be right over there. I'm going to be at booth 111. I'm going to be outside the back door. But the only thing I will do is I will give them my cell phone number. Personal email, cell phone number. And I learned this from Perry Belcher at the Traffic and Conversion Summit, if you know who Perry is. And he would give out his real cell phone number, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And hey, text me right now. And then his phone beep, 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 just starts going off, right? He's all, give me 15 minutes after I get done with this and shake hands and everything, take pictures, and I'm going to start replying to every one of you. Once again, the things that nobody else would do. So every time that I speak, it's like, hey, if you want to take what you've learned today to the next level or have me on your team to go on that journey, here's how you can get a hold of me. No QR codes, no links, none of that bullshit. Because then it turns into being salesy, right? So I want to be known as the unsales guy. And don't get me wrong, I'm running Facebook ads, I've got funnels, I've got all that stuff in place. But if I can get somebody that's really interested to take that action to text me or call me, that SQL is just way higher than just clicking on saying buy something on Instagram and going into a many chat funnel and then going into whatever to schedule an appointment with my sales guy. I know I can close at like 85 to 90%. I'm willing to make that 20, 30-minute investment to have that conversation with them. I've just learned from experience.
Well, what about the argument? I'm sure there could be a person that says, man, gosh, if you speak a lot, that sounds like a lot of work. Like if you're on the road and you're speaking a lot, you're going to give your personal cell number. Because I still do strategy calls. Now, we send them to a link or they email, and then it goes to my Go High Level, and I do them on my way into the Nashville. I have an hour drive in the morning, hour drive in the evening sometimes, and I do personal calls. When I get done with you today, and I got 3 or 4 personal calls of people who saw me speak, right? What's the argument there? Does it become overwhelming? Does it become like, hey, man, this is a lot of people reaching out to me?
So there's something that I call, and I kind of took this from Pace Morby. You know who Pace is? Pace and I are very good friends, and he has the 3 a.m. club, so I created the 4 to 6 a.m. club. I will coach you for free. I will take your call, but you have to be ready to talk to me between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. So I'm up between 3:30 and 4 almost every day. Not because I'm that dedicated to like my sauna in the gym. It's because I'm an insomniac. I can't, all the cortisol, I can't turn my brain off, right? So I literally do the 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. calls with those people as much as I can. And I am in my sauna. I might be in my gym. I might have my Gary Brecka weighted vest on my, doing my treadmill, whatever that is. But that's also a way for me to qualify. Because if they don't fall into my zone of those 2 extra steps type of people, they got to be hardcore. Because if they're not going to be in my tribe. You know what I mean? Because I'm the exact same way that I am here, what we're talking about in real life with my family and with my students. And it takes I have to vet out all those getting ready to get ready people because they're going to churn inside of my programs. Does that make sense? So I have a saying when somebody's like, hey, I'm going to sign up. Okay, cool. I'll text you the link when we get done, or let me send you over to James, my sales guy, whatever it is. And I'll say, but look, you got to promise me one thing. You're going to sit in the front row and you're going to raise your hand. Because if you're sitting in the back row and you're like this because you don't want me to call on you, you're not going to last, and don't waste your time and my time.
Yeah.
I'm very upfront and honest with
Okay.
people. If you want to go on the journey, you're willing to do whatever it takes,
Yeah.
take the 2 extra steps, and follow along at my pace, then I'm your guy.
Yeah.
If not, you're probably better off going with somebody
Yeah.
else.
Well, I like that because I like the fact that you're getting coached. I mean, it's like there's a symbiotic relationship between a coach and a player, right? And it only works if the player shows up coachable and says, "Here's my role and here's your role." When Jana came on my team, she's former military intelligence analyst, and she said she spent a year or two just devouring my work. I mean, like every book I'd ever written, right? And she showed up in class and was always engaged. And then she came to work for me, and she said, "You should do a course on how to be coachable."
Right.
She said, "I knew my role. I'm the player, and you're the coach. And I show up ready to be coached," right? And she's like, "I watch some of these Zooms, and some of these damn people show up with their screens off, and they're not ready, and they don't know. They're just basically showing up every week to be motivated for 30 minutes by you. Then they go back to the same life they had."
Does that irritate you when somebody's on a Zoom and they don't have their camera on?
As a person that coaches a lot, it bothers me, yes. It also bothers me when people just show up and never make a change.
Right.
And then when you coach them, they want to quit, right? It's because I was extreme, Bill. When I was a championship coach, I mean extreme.
I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to interview you for a second.
Yeah.
Skill level wise,
Yeah.
who was your favorite player that you ever coached?
Anne-Marie Lanning.
Was she the best player you ever coached?
No.
Was she like a walk-on that had to work her way up?
She was just a white 5'9" person who had good athletic ability, but a little slow-footed. But she was a workhorse, man.
That's it.
She was a workhorse. And listen, she scored 4,000 points for me. I tried to name my first kid after her. I'm like, we're naming this kid.
Your wife was having none of that, right?
We're naming her Anne Marie.
That's
and it's
funny.
like, no, we're not doing that. But she was a talented player. She scored 4,000 points, but she wasn't the most athletic player.
She gave you what you demanded.
That's right.
I had a guy named Stephen Christoffel when I was a college golf coach at a
Okay.
Division II university, and we competed on the Division I level, like against Arizona State, Pac-10, all that stuff. He was a walk-on. We called him Puffy because he was a little bit overweight, a little chunky.
Yep.
And he came to try out. He had to walk on and try out, and I was not keeping anybody that was trying out. And he had on brown shoes, black, like calf-high socks. I'm like, who is this kid from Northern California?
Yep.
But man, when we had 4 days of qualifying to try to make the team, and it was in August in Bakersfield, California. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's like Palm Springs.
Yeah.
As soon as he would get done, whether he played good or he played bad, he'd be out on the range practicing on his own.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting inside and waiting after the third day for like 90 minutes. And
Yeah.
finally, I'm like, I can't wait any longer. I got to get home. And I went out there and I said, "Stephen,
Yeah.
do you practice this hard all the time?"
Yeah.
He said, "I do, coach." I said, "Awesome. You don't need to come back tomorrow." And he started crying. He thought I was cutting him.
Wow.
I said, "Are those tears of joy?" He's like, "No. Didn't you just cut me?" I
Yeah.
said, "No, you made the team."
Wow.
And I said, "You're the first person to ever walk on for me."
Yeah.
And he never made All-American, never did anything, but he did come to work for me after he
Right.
graduated in my glow golf business.
Yeah.
And kind of set him on a trajectory to set him up for the rest of his life because he was
Yeah.
the hardest worker that I ever had.
Yeah.
And I think that's who we tend to
Yeah.
gravitate towards. They are coachable,
Yeah.
but they're willing to take those 2 extra
Well,
steps.
Don Meyer used to say, "I will take a B in talent and an A in mindset
Every time.
over an A in talent and a B in mindset," right? I take an A in mindset and a B in talent
Every time.
over the other way. And the truth is, that's what we're looking for today. So let's finish by saying, you got a big event coming up. So you have a coaching business that has a lot of people in it. I mean, you mentioned thousands, like 33,000 people, like a community. And that's for people who want to build short-term rental wealth. Is that correct?
It's Build Short-Term Rental Wealth is the name of the company.
Okay.
It's for people that are looking for financial freedom,
Okay.
that want to get out of their W-2.
Okay.
Professionals that are making, $500,000 to 7 figures or higher that don't understand the greatest tax benefit in the world is in short-term rentals. It's
Okay.
not just real estate.
Okay.
I made a lot of money last year, more money than I ever thought I would ever make. I paid less than $200,000 in taxes last year.
Wow.
And I'm saying multiple seven figures.
Yep.
I'm paying less tax because of the short-term rental loophole.
Okay.
And God bless President Trump. He's bringing that back to 100% this year.
Okay.
It's called accelerated depreciation, right?
Yep.
Every single person that's making decent money should be investing into the short-term rentals just from the tax perspective.
Yep.
So that's what I teach a lot of people is how to build wealth. So it's not only just like the Airbnb niche, it's literally the niche of we buy and we own and we're building wealth and taking advantage. So it's not like the arbitrage, get rich free stuff, get rich quick schemes with no money or, hosting. It's literally the super small segment of super interested people because they see the benefits on the cash flow side, the equity side, and the tax benefit side.
Yep. So you would probably tell me to take my lodge, my 8,000 square foot lodge up in Christiana, and put that thing on short-term rental. Because there's times there's nothing going on there. It's only really active when I do events there. Mm-hmm. People do rent it from time to time, but a lot of people would love to stay there.
Yeah. So I think I told you last when we were here doing our thing in your theater. I bought a $3 million 5.5 acre property in Whitefish, Montana that has a primary house and a guest house, and it sleeps 22 people. So I host events there.
Right.
I'm leaving on Thursday to go do 2 back-to-back couples retreats.
Okay.
I hosted my B&B camp in Whitefish with 250 people for a free event. I paid for everything. And then we had a dinner there because they want to see, what I do to build super properties, right?
Okay.
You got Prey Drive. Steve gave me super properties, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge attraction, but it's also nothing exists like that in Montana. It's got a creek, it's got a pond, rainbow trout. I've stocked the whole thing.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Okay.
I'll do $300,000-$400,000 just in renting that thing. I've seen your cabin.
Yes.
You could do probably $250,000 to $350,000. If it was closer to Nashville, you could do $400,000 plus. You easily can do $250,000 renting it in between your events.
Right. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, tell us about this event. You got a big event, man. And I'm excited. Thank you for asking me to come speak at it. I'm honored and love working with you. So tell us about this event.
So number one thing I want to make sure your listeners know is you are very well connected in the influencer industry. Way better than I am. I'm just kind of starting that journey. One of the reasons that I invited Mike, we haven't had like a close relationship, but we've known each other for almost a decade now since you spoke to 2 people and I spoke to 1 in Murfreesboro. But we can benefit each other, right, through reciprocity and helping each other out. And if I want everybody to understand that if I'm ever going to ask Mike for a favor, I've got to do something for him first. So I'm going to put him in front of my community first, and then I might get the opportunity, hey, Bill, can I ever help you out? And then he puts me in an intro to somebody else. And I think that's really important. So I believe the second term, getting ready to get ready from John Boynes, the other one was what was it? Give more than you expect to receive. Right. And that was a John Boynesism that he used to just impale into us. I hired him for sales coaching for like a year and a half for my limousine company and all my sales guys. And him and I became really good friends. I'll never forget those 2 things. Mm-hmm. Give more than you expect to receive. So I'm a giver, and that's kind of how I do my sales and everything as well. And I live my entire life that way. So that event is probably going to be somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 people. I'm actually going to break it right here on your podcast. We have Pace Morby, good friend of mine. We have we only have 6 keynotes there. Myself, my partner Mike Sjogren. We have a super secret that we have not announced yet, and I am in love with her. I would marry her if I wasn't married for 26 years. Can you think about who it is? She fits my personality to a T. Cody Sanchez.
Cody Sanchez, that's what I was going to say.
The Main Street millionaire. She's about as hot as it gets right now. So I haven't even announced this yet. So breaking it on your podcast, Cody Sanchez.
Nice.
Main Street millionaire. She is everything that I believe in my fiber. Her and I are like, exactly the same, I think, and everything. She's way smarter than I am, and I could have never worked on Wall Street or any of that type of stuff. But I am super I've never met her. Her and Pace are very good friends. Shout out to Pace for helping me get her to come to the conference. And Big Speak out of Santa Barbara. I'm sure you're familiar with those guys. But I think she's just unbelievable. I admire everything about her business-wise, and I can't wait for her. So it's you, it's her, it's Pace Morby. And then we have these tracks. I think I roped you into doing a track a session, right?
Yep.
So it's critically different. It's not just like 10X to where everybody's on the big stage. We've got these 600-person rooms at the Music City Center here in Nashville, to where we're going to have these sessions and deeper dives and kind of more education than just doing keynotes.
Yep.
And, like Pace and my good friend Jerry Norton, Flipping Mastery on Instagram, they are running a 4-hour creative financing track.
Okay.
Right? And I'm going to be doing a marketing track and a co-hosting track. My partner, Mike Sjogren's doing a hotel investing, because that's kind of the big rage right now, is investing into motels and boutique hotels and stuff like that, as opposed to just STRs. But we're going to have a bunch of those tracks, a bunch of real estate investing. It's going to be diverse. I'm bringing in Lynn Smith. I don't know if you know who Lynn Smith is.
Okay.
Former Today Show, New York anchor. She's Lynn Smith TV. She teaches executives and people like us how to speak and how to build our brands, and gets us on television, right? And she is just unbelievable on how to reposition your brand as a leader in an industry. So it's kind of more diverse than just doing real estate. It's July 22nd through 25th, just about 2 blocks over from your place at the Music City Center.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be in the audience and listen to this talented group of people, man, and excited to speak at
I'll give you a bunch of tickets. You can bring your whole team.
I love it.
Whatever
They would
you
love
want.
that. They would love that.
strwealthcon.com. That's how they can get tickets.
You got to get there, folks. I mean, that's going to be big. I love it, and I love how you go big, man. You don't play small. You can't go big if little got you, right?
I love that.
You can't go big if little got you.
100%. We have a mutual friend, Steve Carless from Two Market Media. He came to the conference last year, and he didn't know what to expect. And probably the best compliment, and I know you haven't been to one yet, that I could get, is he's like, you're about 3 to 4 years ahead of Grant in the 10X conference. And I couldn't take, it's exactly what Chris and I have tried to build.
Sure.
And hopefully I'll get, because you've been on Grant's stage and I've been to a couple of 10Xs. I've been fortunate to meet Grant a couple of times. I'm trying to model it and build the next 10X. Because he's probably not going to continue to do it forever.
He says this is it. He says this is it. This year is it.
Yeah, so did Russell. Everybody's quitting. I hope it's either a play, for next year. I said I was going to quit last year because I lost about $200,000, but I'm coming back.
Well, it's like the artist that's on their farewell tour. They go 10 more years, right?
Exactly. Or 30, like the Rolling Stones, right? They're like 90.
Well, Bill Faeth, thank you for coming into the Greatness Factory. I appreciate you, man. I look forward to doing bigger things with you. I feel like this is the start of a big relationship between us.
Such a pleasure to be here for the second time. And those of you at home listening or watching, you need to get to the Greatness Factory because this is the place to become great. Yeah, thank you, man. Never know who's going to see. Never know who you're going to see at the Greatness Factory, man. Exactly. All right, Coach Micheal Burt, another edition, incredible edition of America's Coach. You can download this, subscribe. It's on YouTube. It's on all the podcast channels. We do believe everybody needs a great coach in life, and every week I bring you people of interest right here, one of the top podcasts in America. Thank you.